Hi guys. Hi everyone who's in the C2 class, all two of you. I hope you guys are doing well. What have you been up to? Have you had a good weekend? I'm sure you wouldn't tell me even if you did. But yeah, I hope you guys are staying safe, staying inside, hanging out, enjoying your time. We're gonna start with the next couple of pages from the last class. Can you guys remember what we did in the last class? We were talking about crime and punishment, and I think that the chapter was called Law and Order or something like that. Can you guys remember any of the vocabulary words that we were talking about and what they meant, and some of the conversations that we had? We're going to have a look now at page 82. Just have a look. Oh, it's really dark. Okay, there, on page 82, have a look at these words here, okay? I'm going to read them out, and I want you to copy my pronunciation, and then I'm going to say a definition, and you have to write in your notebook which word I'm describing. So the first word is blackmail. The word under that is manslaughter. It's a lovely topic. The next word under that is, let me remember how to say this, libel. Okay, the next one in the next column is arson. The one underneath that is shoplifting. Underneath that is reckless driving. And in the third column, starting at the top, computer hacking. The next one is fraud. And the last one is tax evasion. Okay, so now I'm going to describe the words, and you have to write in your notebook what words I'm describing. So the first one is when you write something or publish something about someone to kind of get them to get a bad reputation. Do you remember what that was? You can pause it now to write if you want, and I'll tell you the answer in a second. So the answer is libel. Okay, I think we kind of said it could be kind of related to fake news. Okay, so the next one is when you burn something down, like a big building or a car or something like that. Okay, so write your answer in your notebook. And the answer is arson. What about, it's really hard to describe this one without saying the word. When some type of genius / criminal goes online and gets into your private stuff or company's private accounts or things like this. I think this is pretty self-explanatory. Can you write that one down? That's computer hacking. Okay, what about when somebody doesn't pay their social security contributions, or they maybe say that they live in a different country to avoid paying money? What is this called? It's tax evasion. Okay, what about when somebody tells another person, if you don't pay me so-and-so amount of money, I'm going to tell everybody your secret. Do you remember what that one was? That's blackmail. When you take something from a shop, I just said part of the word. When you take something on purpose from a place that sells things, that's shoplifting. What about when you are in your car? This is also really obvious, and you're not being careful. You are a reckless driver, or you're driving recklessly, and it's called reckless driving. What about when you are driving or doing other things? It's not just driving. Maybe you're not being careful with something and you accidentally kill someone. That's hopefully not a common situation, but it has happened before, unfortunately. But it's important to remember that it was an accident. It was not the intention. That's manslaughter. What about the last one? When maybe you steal someone's things, like their identity card or their bank details, and you pass as them, basically. Or there can be other types, but this is just one type. That's fraud. Okay, so have a look at letter B on the same page, on page 82. It says, are there any crimes in your country that are currently receiving a great deal of attention from the media? You would know more than me. I'm not 100% sure. So if there are any crimes, can you please write that down in your notebook as well? And we can talk about that when we get back to class. And what about letter C? Can you think of any crimes that are seen as less serious now than they were in the past? I also don't know. So we can talk about that as well. Write that please in your notebook. And you can always send that to me. Again, the email is on our website. Okay, so have a look now at number 2. You have some questions here, and we're going to read a text. I'm going to read it, and I want you to pause it after having listened to my pronunciation, and I want you to read it in your house and try to match my pronunciation. So first of all, have a read of the 3 questions here. A says, what was Owen accused of? B, do you think his actions were justified? Why or why not? And C, what do you think the jury decided? And afterwards, we're going to turn to page 164 to see if we're right. Okay, so I'm going to read the text. It says, a crime of passion. And this is actually a true story as well. It was pretty interesting. So, reaching a verdict can be an extremely difficult and complicated process. And juries sometimes have to balance a sense of justice against knowledge of the law. Take the case of Stephen Owen, whose 12-year-old son Darren had been killed after being knocked off his bicycle and crushed by a lorry. Mr. Taylor, the lorry driver, left the scene without reporting the accident. The police tracked him down only to discover that he had never had a driving license. Mr. Taylor showed no remorse for what he had done, which greatly distressed the family. He was banned from driving and sentenced to 18 months in prison for reckless driving, but served only 12 months. Stephen Owen could not get over the death of his son. He was shaken by how quickly Taylor had been released from prison. When he discovered that Taylor had not stopped driving after his release, he wrote a letter to the Queen to ensure the ban was enforced. Owen let the event take over his life entirely, becoming unable to lead a normal existence. He traced Taylor to his home in Kent and confronted him in the street. With a sawn-off shotgun, he fired twice at Taylor at point-blank range, hitting him in the back and his common-law wife, Alison Barrett, in the arm. They survived, but Owen was charged with attempted murder. At his trial, the prosecution said that his shooting of Taylor had been premeditated, but Owen claimed to have fired the gun in a moment of near insanity. At the end of the trial, the judge told the jury, any parent must feel sympathy, understanding, and compassion for a father or a mother who receives a phone call only to hear of the death of a child. But he warned the jury not to be swayed by the understandable sympathy for Owen and advised them to concentrate on whether Owen had any intent to kill at the time of the shooting, regardless of what had happened beforehand. Okay, so we've read that text. What was he accused of? Can you please write that in your notebook? Do you think his actions were justified? Why or why not? And what do you personally think the jury decided? Okay, so when you're finished, I want you to turn to page 164 and see if you're right. Okay, perfect. Also, in the text, please underline or highlight, whatever you prefer, any words that you don't understand and look them up in the dictionary. If you are really, really confused, the dictionary didn't help you at all, you can email me, or I think you also have my phone number. You can text me on WhatsApp and ask me. Okay? Now, so in the text that we've just read, I want you to go to the next page, page 83, and I want you to read the text again and underline any examples of gerunds and infinitives. So this concept might be a little bit, well, maybe not vague because you've probably done it so many times, but maybe just to jog your memory, we can do it again. Oh, the camera got really dark. Okay, so a gerund is any type of verb that ends in the ing version. There, you can see that, okay? And I'll use a different color. An infinitive, as you know, it can either be the verb with to or without to. But today we're only going to focus really on the 2 basic ones, the ing ending and the verb with to. For example, some verbs, as you know, take certain versions of the next verb that follows. So if you're trying to use 2 verbs in a sentence, one of the verbs determines what form the next verb is going to be in. So if you say, for example, hope you can see this. I succeeded in... Oh my gosh, you can't see that at all, can you? Yes, there you go. I succeeded in uploading a video, which is a miracle. I succeeded in... Sorry, this is so dark. I hope you can see this. Uploading a video. Oh my god, why is that so dark? Okay, anyway, I succeeded in uploading a video. So here you can see that the word succeeded takes the next form of the verb. Oh, sorry, succeeded in. The next form of the verb has ing. So we know that succeeded takes ing as the next verb. That's what that means. And there are verbs with to as well. I'm going to try not to write so much on the board because you can't see. Okay, so have a look at the verbs in the text and pause the video now so that you can have a look for the ing forms and the infinitive forms, okay? And then we're going to go over it together on the board. I'm going to try to find a way to do this, okay? So hopefully now you've paused the video and you're done underlining the verbs. We're going to go over them together. I don't really know how to make this more clear. Why is it so dark? Okay, there we go. No, that's not better at all. Okay, so some of the gerunds you probably saw in the text were, maybe I'll just read them. Reaching a verdict. Do you see that one? What about without reporting the accident? From driving, for reckless driving, had not stopped driving, his shooting of Taylor, understanding, the shooting. Those are different examples of the gerund. And some other other examples with infinitives could be, for example, have to balance, only to discover or only to hear, to ensure, unable to lead a normal life. Owen claimed to have fired. He wanted the jury not to be swayed, advised them to concentrate on, and any intent to kill. Those are the ones that I found. So if you have any others, please feel free to underline them as well, and we can talk about them later. Okay, so now that you've underlined those words, go in your book to page 83, where you already were, and I'd like you to have a look at number 5. So in 5, it says, what is the difference between the use of the infinitive in these two sentences from the text? Okay, so how does only change the meaning of A? So can you have a read of sentence A and B? And I'll do the same. A says, the police tracked him down, so found him basically, only to discover that he had never had a driving license. Okay, so think about the meaning of only. What could that mean? And B, he wrote a letter to the Queen to ensure that the ban was enforced. So in sentence B, to ensure, what is the meaning of to in this sentence? Why do we use to? Do you know? If you know, write it down in your notebook. I will tell you right now. We use to plus the verb, so the infinitive form, to mean, like what I've just said now, to mean in order to, okay? And let's see, the next one in A, you use only to when something has kind of happened immediately after an action and it comes as a surprise. For example, yesterday when I was uploading these videos, I did like 15 minutes of a video only to realize or only to discover that it was too big of a file to upload, which was very disappointing and frustrating. Okay, so those are some examples of only to. Could you write 2 examples in your notebook of of phrases using only to, try to do something that's real, so you're more likely to remember it with only to. Remember, it's something that's happened that's surprising. Okay, so when you finish that, have a look at number 6, and it says complete A to E using to or only to and a suitable word. So pause the video now and do number 6, and then when you unpause it, I'll tell you the answers. Okay? So the answers are, in A, Rod arrived at the airport check-in desk only to find or only to discover that his passport had expired. B, the customs officer waved the car over to the inspection shed to inspect or to examine the contents of the car boot. C is the judge adjourned the trial, which means he let them go, I think. I'm pretty sure it means that he let them go, that he finished the trial. Adjourned the trial to give or to allow the defense more time to prepare. Letter D, the prosecuting barrister arrived in court only to learn or only to discover, only to hear, only to be told, only to be informed, for example, that an important witness in the case had not turned up. And E, in order to ensure your safety, the wearing of seatbelts on the coach is compulsory. All right, guys. So the last thing that I'd like you to do is do exercise number 7. In the following pairs of sentences, decide whether the verb should be in the infinitive or the gerund. So infinitive would be to, or sometimes without to. That's called a bare infinitive, or in the ing form. Okay? So please, I'd like you guys to do this. I'm not going to give you the answers on this video. I'd like you to just do that by yourselves, and then email that to me. Okay? So the last thing that we're going to do is number 8. So you have got some different beginnings of sentences, and I'd like you to do that in your notebook as well. I'm going to give you some examples of each one, so you can kind of get the idea of what you're supposed to do. So let's have a look at what they say. It says, I've always regretted. Okay, maybe this is going to be oversharing, but I'm just going to give some examples. I've always regretted cutting my hair. I have this problem where my hair gets long, I get really bored, I think, oh wow, I'm gonna cut it, and then sometimes I cut it too short, and I always do it by myself because I don't want to go to a hairdresser and hear about how I have split ends. So I do it myself, and I've always regretted doing this, but yet I keep doing it, so I don't learn either. So I've always regretted cutting my hair. So obviously regretted or regret needs to take what form? ing. I've tried. Okay, this can either be ing or to, it depends. For example, I've tried playing basketball many times. I always was told because I'm tall, I should just go for it, and that's really bad advice because I'm horrible at basketball. So I've tried to play basketball numerous times on numerous occasions, and I've always failed. And I've tried playing basketball. They're kind of similar. If I say I've tried playing basketball, it means I had this experience. I did it. I tried it out, and maybe it wasn't for me. I've tried to play basketball is like it was my intent, maybe to succeed, but maybe I didn't succeed. So they're kind of similar, but have a little bit of a difference in meaning. What about I remember? I remember going on lots of different holidays with my family to Switzerland when I was younger, and when I was a teenager, and when I was a young adult, and I had so many good memories. So I remember going with gerund, ing. I went on. So remember, anytime you've got a phrasal verb or preposition, you always need to use ing. Let's think. Again, back to yesterday when I was recording some videos. I went on believing that for about 5 minutes I was recording, but I wasn't. I was just talking by myself, and I didn't hit the record button, which was fun. So I went on recording the video, ing, and I wasn't recording it. Okay? I dread. So dread means you just don't want to do something or have something happen. This is the worst feeling of dread. Like maybe I don't know, maybe one day you just don't want to go to university because you've got this horrible presentation that you have to do and you're not prepared at all. And well, maybe if you're a relaxed person, you don't care. But I'm not really that relaxed and I get really stressed out about stuff like that. So I dread going to work or doing any type of presentation when I'm unprepared. So you need ing with dread. I meant, you need to have the infinitive with that. I meant to fold all of the clothes this afternoon, but I didn't. It was my intention. I meant to do it, but I didn't. And the last one, I'm going to stop. Okay, perfect. This is very apt. I'm going to stop talking now because the video is almost over. So I'm going to stop talking means I'm doing something and I'm going to cut it off now. I'm going to stop doing that thing with a gerund. But you can also say, I'm going to stop to go watch TV. So I'm going to stop one activity and then I'm going to change activities and do something else. So when you use the infinitive, you stop what you're doing before and you change activity to do something else. But if you only use ing, it means you are doing something and you're just going to stop. Okay? Perfect. So can you guys please email me anything you want, but especially number 7, because that's your homework. Okay, well, take care and we'll see each other again on Wednesday. Bye.